Hey, what's up, Prop Mob? Eduardo Talbert here with Monster Tutorials. Today we're going to take one of these fancy camping lanterns that are styled in like a vintage design and turn it into a really old looking one. And we're going to do the finish to look like it's rusted. So all this, right, all that finish. Plus we're going to do the soot and the frosted glass. So it looks like it's nice and grungy. It's been around for years and years. Okay. The other thing we're going to do is this is a camping light. This is a camping light, so it has like a bunch of white bright LEDs there and everything looks brand new. So we are also going to rewire it with a flickering yellow LED so that it looks like a real lantern with a real flame. And additionally, in my case, I don't want it to be battery powered, so I'm going to turn it into a plug on the wall power LED. Now this lantern is styled like the old school, like the old kerosene lanterns, and even mechanically it kind of works like it, but it's a modern LED system. So I'll show you how easy it is to disassemble this. Now if you want this particular lantern so you can follow perfectly along with this tutorial, I've added a link below where you can get this lantern. So let's disassemble this. The first thing we're going to do is take the glass out, and the way to do that is you lift this, it's spring loaded, and you lift the spring and then just swing this whole mechanism out. Okay, so there is your piece of glass. Set that aside. There is a reflector that goes on top, and when the light goes up it makes this look a little bit brighter. Once we frost this, you can keep the reflector because it will make the whole glass thing glow and flicker. This right here is the LED, and it's about 15 LEDs. I don't want these, so I'm gonna remove that, and then we're going to remove the battery compartment. Now for this, just unscrew these two guys. All right, and this pops right out. Just like that. Now we have some plugs here that we can just pull apart. See those plugs? Just pull them apart if you don't want to rip your wires and you want to save this wire harness, battery compartment. If you want to keep it battery powered, keep that part. It should come out. There you go. And this goes to this dimmer, which I'm not gonna use, but I like the look of it because it looks like the little cap where you put the kerosene in. You can take this out by unscrewing it, but it'll leave a big hole there. All right, so we have the metal piece right there, glass, and these I don't want for this project, so I'm going to set these aside. Set this aside as well. All right, for the glass, I'm going to clean it real well, and then I'm going to go outside, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the inside with regular wood glue. You can use regular school glue, but the wood glue, not only is it like outdoors, interior, exterior, water resistant, but it has a yellow tint, which makes this look like it has a little bit more soot and makes it a little bit opaque. This will dry opaque. So I'm going to take a paintbrush and paint the inside with glue and let it dry. You don't need a lot. We're just going to glaze the inside of the glass. All right, that looks great. So set that aside to dry. Now while that dries, let's get started with this metal piece. And we're going to make it look like it's rusty. This color in particular looks like copper, so if you want, you can make like a blue-green, kind of like a copper oxide, but I like the regular rust like iron stuff. See that awesome pattern and that awesome texture? So that's what I want. For the rusty look, I'm using a little bit of black. This one we're going to use just a little bit. A lot of brown. That's raw umber. And this awesome light brown, which is almost orange. That gives you the best rust looking spots. And I'm using a sponge. This is just a kitchen sponge that I cut into pieces, and I use them when I want to do this kind of finish. What you do is you just dab the finish onto your piece. So we're going to take a little bit of brown, maybe a little bit of black, just mix it all up, and we're just basically disrupting the smoothness of this finish. I'm going to show you a close-up, and that texture, that will look like this is really old metal. And for the really cool part is this brown right here. And you take that on the edges and you have like instant rust. Look at that. So you'll add this brown in the areas where naturally the rain would hit and would accumulate. So this edge, the bottom edge, maybe this edge, these two wires, I would assume they would rust pretty quickly, and we'll do these edges and the rest with the brown and black combination. That way that looks like it's been sitting in a place where maybe rain accumulated and it's been sitting on a puddle and started rusting from the bottom up. All right, let's do that all over the lantern. I finished putting all the rusty colors on this, and that looks pretty cool. But we're going to do one more step, and this step is awesome. My favorite. So take a little bit of glue, doesn't matter what kind. I'm using wood glue because that's what I have right here. Sponge brush, and just on those edges where we wanted the red rust, we're just going to put a little bit of glue. I'm going to do the front first. This area coming down, especially this little cap, because it's so smooth. And what we're doing is changing the texture of this whole thing. So it'll look and feel like it's big time rusted. And do this in the areas where you think the most rust would accumulate. Just like you did with the red paint. And we're going to use our magic ingredient that smells so good. And this is cinnamon from Walmart, which is super cheap. And just sprinkle it all over your prop. You can let it sit there and the glue will soak into it, making the crust thicker. Or you can just flip it over, tap the excess off, and just leave that. This will become one with that glue. Right, let's do this all over the lantern. I like especially the wires, so they look like rusty wires, nice and rough. All these edges. And you can take all this and reuse it. All right, let's do the back side too. That looks great. Let that dry all the way. And don't forget to do the wires if you missed them. This glass is nice and dry. As you can see, it's kind of opaque. If you want it more opaque, just do another coat or as many as you want. So that's nice and yellowish. Let's set that aside. Now let's start with the electronics while the lantern's cinnamon and glue dry. And I'm taking this piece. I'm not going to reuse it, but I'm going to take this out of here. Right, I'm going to use this as a template because this is the size that we need. So right, let's cut that out. I'll just find the middle. And we're going to drill a little hole that is about 5 millimeters. Now let's talk about the LEDs real quick. And there's a link to these at the bottom of the description. These are orange flickering LEDs and they are 5 millimeter. Okay? And that's what I'm going to be using today for this project. So we need to make this fit through here. Okay? So I got this drill bit. I also disassembled this thing because it's broken, doesn't work, and I'm using this little flame thing, and we're going to put that over this guy, right? It kind of diffuses the light a little bit better. So this has to fit right here. So let's drill a hole right there. There you go. Now let's see if that fits in there. Might have to coax it in, but there you go. And that should fit the LED perfectly on the bottom side. There you go, nice and tight. That is perfect, so set that aside. Now for this tutorial, I told you I was going to do it wired instead of battery, but I'm going to show you the simple way using a DC power adapter, and this is 12 volts, so make sure you match your LEDs to your power supply, and this one is also on the link below. So the two listings I put below match the voltage and amperage and everything that I'm talking about today. So this one right here is 12 volts. These are 12 volts. Okay, this is 500 milliamps or half an amp. Okay, these are 20 milliamps. That just means 500 milliamps, 20 milliamps. You can put 25 of these off of this power source. In today's project, I'm just going to plug these two together, but that'll be a waste of power for this. So in a future tutorial, I'll show you how to put this into an RCA that goes to a box, and the box distributes power to up to 25 different LEDs, candles, spotlights, or lanterns. All right, this dude is dry, but I want to set that cinnamon so it's like stuck like a crust on top of the lantern. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go take it out to the garage and spray it. And we're going to spray it with some polyurethane, okay? And that creates this look right there, which is really stuck. It's hard to remove. It feels really rusted. And it will protect it from the elements. So I'm gonna go spray this. I'm also going to take this guy that is nice and opaque. I'm going to take this black spray paint and just shoot it through the hole so that it catches only the top edge. So, sorry, that's the top edge, right? So the soot would accumulate on the top there. I'm going to spray it like this and just move it just a little so it catches just that top third of this bulb. So I'll be right back. I'm going to the garage. That is nice and covered with the polyurethane, which helps weatherproof it a little bit, and it makes the cinnamon really stick to the lantern. And this guy makes it look like soot. So as you can see, I sprayed the inside, so now it's opaque from the glue and then nice and sooty as if a flame had burned through the ears. Okay, let's assemble this. First thing I'm going to do is take the LED assembly and I'm going to put it through where the old one was and into the area here where the kerosene normally would have been, right? And just pull it out and make sure it sits flat there. Now, if you want, you can use some screws or glue to hold it in place. Now let's take the glass dome, set it right on top so it holds your light bulb. Then just put the light reflector and pull this all the way up so you can pop the whole assembly in. All right, so that is assembled. So now let's do the electrical part. Now, like I said before, there's not going to be permanent. I'm still going to put the wires together, and I'm going to like shrink wrap them. But if I was doing this as a permanent fixture, which we'll do in the next tutorial, where this goes onto an RCA connector, I will be soldering these. But right now, we're not. So I'm going to get 2 pieces of this shrink wrap of the same size. And a piece of this bigger one. Now we're going to use that 12 volt transformer power adapter. And one thing my dad taught me was that there will be markings on the cable on one of the sides, and as you can see there's some dashes on that one. That is the negative. So negative goes with black, which is negative. So let's twist those together. Wait first. Slide the sleeves in. I always forget this. Right, so once you have slid the sleeves there, I can slide this one over this, over both. All right, there you go. So negative with negative, and positive with positive. I'm going to put my glass case between them just while we test it so they don't touch each other. Alright, that lamp seems to be flickering, as you can see. We'll see it in its full glory later. I just wanted to test. So that is working. So now you can slide sleeve over that one. This sleeve over this one. Let's keep this one hidden over there. And we're going to hit it with the heat gun that will shrink it and secure it. Normally, like I said, I would solder those, but today is for demo only, so you can see how I wire this. Alright, so those are nice and tight. Now you take the other piece of shrink wrap and slide it over both of them. Alright, this is pretty cool. So like I said, this power supply would power 25 of these, so I can also plug this one in there. And the reason I said I want to keep the cables is because I don't want to worry about changing batteries or turning off every single lamp at night in the graveyard or in whatever scene you're using. Instead, I'm going to plug this to a central area that can be turned on and off. You can have the cable come down the bottom if this lamp is going to be sitting on a table, for example. But if you have this on a prop, let's say you have a Grim Reaper or a skeleton that is holding this lamp, right? Maybe in a nice graveyard or cemetery, then these sides right here are hollow. There is a hole where you can access them right there. Okay, you can send the wire all the way up and maybe out on this handle or out here so that you can wire it through the hand of the skeleton and in, and you will have no wires on the bottom. These guys are going to be sitting on top of stuff on the graveyard. So right now I'm having the wires coming out the bottom. Right, I'm going to turn the lights off. I'm going to wire these two together so you can see both of them flickering, and let's see how it turns out. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. That was a cool, fun project with these vintage lanterns. So if you like it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't, because we're going to plug these with RCAs into a central system and make about 20-30 lights at the same time with one cord that goes to the wall. So until next time, I'm Eduardo Talbert with Monster Tutorials. See ya.